Okay. Good morning, all of you. Yes, we'll begin the class. See, in the previous class, I have discussed about some fundamentals of morphology of flower. Let us continue the remaining part of flower. I think when I was ended the class, I was talking about Merosity. I was talking about Merosity of flower. Merosity. See, there is a way to measure floral organs. In order to measure the floral organs, there has been an introduction of a concept called merosity. That is, number of floral appendages, in each floral whole, in each whole. This phenomenon is called as merosity. If you talk about merosity, let us see. In the merosity, we have trimerous flowers, trimerous. In each whole, for example, I am talking about calyx. In each whole, 3 sepals, or in corolla, 3 petals. Now here one thing you need to remember, it's not compulsory that if sepals are 3, petals also must be 3. It is that if sepals are 3, petals must be multiples of 3. Are you catching the point? And at the same time, when you go to Androecium, the members of Androecium, so-called stamens, must be multiples of 3. Here too, there 5, one another whole, there will be a 9. Such kind of appearance should not be there. So there is an equal arrangement of appendages in each whole. That phenomenon is called merosity, trimerous. Next one, tetramerous. In case of tetramerous flowers, each whole 4 appendages or 4 organs, floral organs, are multiples of 4. Multiples of 4. Next, pentamerous. Pentamerous. 5 are multiples of 5. Multiples of 5 floral organs or floral appendages. The best examples for trimerous flowers, the family of Liliaceae. One important thing you need to remember, if a flower has trimerous condition, that flower generally belongs to monocot. Monocots are having trimerous nature. And if a flower that is tetramerous and pentamerous, they are belongs to dicotyledonous members. Best example of tetramerous flowers, Brassica, are the mustard family members. Pentamerous, we have numerous examples over there. For example, Fabaceae, Solanaceae, and Asteraceae, Malvaceae, etc. etc. But I will take Solanum here. One blind approach to be remembered, tetramerous and pentamerous flowers are characteristic feature of the families of dicots. Like this, there is a concept is there, merosity of flowers. Next one, when we talk about floral organs, along with the floral organs, there are some parts like bract, and bracteoles. First, I will talk about what do you mean by bract. See, this is a floral axis. That means this is peduncle. Peduncle. Peduncle, you can call it as a mother axis of flower. For a flower, it is the mother axis or common denotion peduncle, and you can also call it as floral axis. Anyhow, all these words represents the stem on which flowers are developing. Imagine this is the floral axis where there is a development of a flower. Flower has been developed. Consider this is flower, a little ugly, but anyhow it's flower. Okay, over there, whenever on the stem there is a rising of flower, that must be a node. I have clearly mentioned flowers never develop randomly on the surface of inflorescence axis. They develop always at the node, because inflorescence axis is nothing but a modified stem. Usually, on the inflorescence axis, at the nodal portion, there has been development of flowers. Yes, this is a node where there is a development of flower. At that nodal portion, there is a small reduced leaf-like part. This is reduced leaf. Why did you call it reduced leaf? Actually, it does not meant for photosynthesis. It is a kind of rudimentary body, that means underdeveloped body. And at the same time, when you talk about the reduced leaf, they may help the flower when they were in bud condition for the sake of protection. Anyhow, bract, it is nothing but a reduced leaf. This is one variety. Next one, it's not compulsory for a flower on its origin on the surface of peduncle there should be a presence of bract. If bract is there, that flower is called bracteole or bracteolate. If bract is present, if bract absent, bractate, actually it is bractate. Bractate, sorry ma. Next one, abractate. If bracts are absent, the condition is called abract. Abractate. In that case, now tell me, what is this part from where flower is originated? This part we call it as pedicel. Pedicel is nothing but floral stalk. Floral stalk. Rarely, some cases, on the surface of this floral stalk, there may be a development of leaf-like body. If a leaf-like body has been developed on the surface of pedicel or floral stalk, this is called as bracteole. Bracteole. Okay? Now, don't confuse these words. Bract, bracteole. Bract develop always on peduncle, so-called inflorescence axis. Bracteoles develop only on pedicel, which is nothing but floral stalk. It's not compulsory that for a flower must carry bract. If a flower has bract, we call it as bractate. If a flower does not possess any bract, we will call it as a bractate. Similarly, if a flower has bracteole, that is called as bracteolate flower. If a flower does not possess bracteole, this is called as a bracteolate. So this is about bract and bracteoles. Be careful, bract and bracteoles are not the same. Bract and bracteoles are two different terms. Bracteole. Bract developed on peduncle, bracteole developed on pedicel. Of course, both may appear like a green reduced leaf-like structures, but they have their own origin. Clear? Generally, on the surface of pedicel, there is no development of leaves. Rarely, in some cases, there is a chance for the development of leaves on the surface of pedicel. That body is called bracteole. That's the reason why the concept related to bracteole generally did not mention in NCRT book. It is there, but that concept did not mention anywhere else in NCRT book. Okay. Next one. Another morphological thing related to a flower, that is, consider type of flowers, type of flowers based on position of floral organs, position of floral organs, based on position of floral organs with respect to gynoecium, with respect to gynoecium. Why you specially talking with respect to gynoecium? Remember, in a flower, after the pollination, almost all parts of the flower usually fall down. Let me say one more time. If you take sepal, usually sepals meant for protection of flower under the bud stage. If flower has been matured, sepals work is over. After that, petals. Petals meant for attracting insects for pollination by having beautiful colorization. If the pollination is over, petals work is also over. Next one, stamens. Stamens meant for the production of pollen grains. Then after the producing pollen grains, they do disappear. But when it comes to gynoecium, after the pollination, this is the only part of the flower that would be remain. In that gynoecium, ovary naturally becomes a fruit and ovules will become seeds. That's a criteria. This is the reason most of the morphological developments will give, to say, in the flower, most of the morphological developments of flower give most of the space to occupy gynoecium, because gynoecium is the one which remain after the process of pollination. That's why we are talking about types of flowers here with respect to gynoecium. That means in a flower, where are the remaining floral organs are present after gynoecium has been occupied on thalamus. One more time. If gynoecium is not there, that flower will be fall down after some time. If gynoecium is present in a flower, that flower will be later on matured in the form of fruit. Is it clear the word? That's why on the flower there is a part called thalamus, on which there will be a development of floral organs. All the floral organs will develop with respect to gynoecium. Why they have to provide that much space? Already I mentioned, this is the most important part of a flower. Now, gynoecium has been occupied. After that, sepals, petals, stamens. Where they are growing with respect to gynoecium? Are they growing below the gynoecium, above the gynoecium, or parallel to the gynoecium height? Where they grow? Based on this criteria, we have flowers basically three types. First one, hypogynous flower. Hypogynous Gynous flowers. What do you mean by hypogynous? Hypo means below. Hypo means below. An English word, hypo, below. Below whom? Below to gynoecium. Who are there below to gynoecium? Floral organs are there below to gynoecium. In this case, let me check. There is a body of a flower called thalamus. Consider this is thalamus, so called receptacle of a flower. On the thalamus, there has been a development of gynoecium. This is the gynoecium developed on the surface of thalamus. In the gynoecium, stigma, style, ovary altogether. On the thalamus, gynoecium is located on the top. In that case, remaining floral organs, whoever needed for the flower, they always develop below the gynoecium. This is sepal. Consider this one is petal, and let us take one more body is stamens. All of them are started to originate below the gynoecium. In this case, the ovary that is located here, ovary is superior ovary. Superior to whom? Superior to floral organs. And the remaining three floral organs, it may be sepals, petals, and stamens. These three are inferior. Be very careful. They are inferior to whom? They are inferior to gynoecium. Gynoecium itself, I am mentioning it as superior. That means it is occupied on the topmost position on the thalamus. Okay, thalamus is like a bed-like structure. On the top of it, gynoecium has been occupied. Then gynoecium provided the space for the growth of other floral organs below to it. This phenomenon we call it as, okay, superior ovary. Overall, this flower we call it as hypogynous flower. Hypogynous flower is a flower in which floral organs are located below the gynoecium. I am talking with respect to ovary position, where are the floral organs are present. That's why if floral organs are present below the gynoecium, I will call that flower as a hypogynous flower. Next one, the best examples of hypogynous flower: mustard, that is Brassicaceae members; China rose, that is Malvaceae member; mustard, China rose, brinjal. Brinjal is a member of Solanaceae. All of them are having hypogynous flower. Now once again recall, in a hypogynous flower, where do you see gynoecium? On the top of the thalamus. That's why the gynoecium is called superior gynoecium or superior ovary. Next, where are the floral organs are present? Hypo to gynoecium. That's why the flower is called hypogynous flower. Clear the statement. Next one. Another one is called, next variety of flower, perigynous flower. Perigynous flower. Tell me, what do you mean by the English word peri represent? Peri means around, peripherally, around. Perigynous, the name suggests, in this flower, around the gynoecium, floral organs will develop. Look at this. Gynoecium develop like a cup-like structure. Careful. Gynoecium is like a cup-like body. This is cup, imagine. Over there. Inside the gynoecium, inside the cup-like thalamus, gynoecium is going to develop. Gynoecium is going to develop in the form of a body that it is partially covered. This is the gynoecium. In the gynoecium, let us consider this is ovary. Now, thalamus is cup-like structure. In that cup, gynoecium has been occupied. On the rims of our thalamus, that means it's a cup-like structure. Cup has a rim. Rim means on the edge. Over there, sepals, petals, and there is a development of stamens. All these organs develop around on the same height of ovary. Whatever the height of the ovary, floral organs not above the ovary, not below the ovary. Floral organs develop on the same height to ovary. This situation we call it as perigynous flower. If there is a statement arise in perigynous flower, where are the floral organs? Are they inferior? Are they superior? What is the condition? Let me confirm. The ovary of perigynous flower will be half superior, or you can say it half inferior. Either way you are correct. It is half superior or half inferior. The same word will be applied to floral organs also. They are half inferior. Is it okay? Like this. If thalamus developed as cup-like structure and inside the cup ovary has been occupied, and around the ovary on the rim of the thalamus, if there is any development of floral organs on the same height of the ovary, such kind of flower is called as perigynous flower. The best examples of perigynous flower: plum, peach, rose. One thing, my dears, if anybody asks, plum, peach, rose are the only three flowers carry this perigynous flower? Obviously not. But how many you can remember? It is not possible to remember lot many number of plants showing a particular morphological character. Then we will confine to NCERT book. Whatever the examples in the NCERT book have been mentioned, in that book example only we are notifying. Be careful. If you are studying variety of materials available in the market, you will get variety of names. If you try to by heart all of them, it will take too much time to qualify in NEET exam. That's why be careful. Confine to those examples which are present in our NCERT book. Then recall what are the examples which are given for hypogynous flower: China rose, mustard, brinjal. Perigynous flower: plum, peach, rose. Then go to another variety of flower, that is epigynous flower. Epigynous flower. What do you mean by epigynous flower? Thalamus, thalamus grows around the ovary, around the ovary. This is an interesting feature. Let me take in detail. See, first, this is our ovary. Around the ovary, thalamus started to grow up to the top. This is ovary, which is completely covered by the ovary, completely covered by thalamus. Okay, over there, this is the condition. In this case, this ovary, which has been completely covered by thalamus, in this, these are sepals and the petals. Next situation, you can write stamens like this. This is an arrangement of ovary which is infused in thalamus. Be careful. Ovary has been infused inside thalamus. That's why this ovary we call it as inferior ovary. The ovary which has been completely buried inside the thalamus, and the floral organs become superior. Floral organs become superior. One thing. This is the only kind of flower where ovary has been fused with thalamus. In these cases, generally, in such kind of cases, when ovary is converting in the form of fruit, along with the ovary, there is also chance of the thalamus even modified in the form of fruit. We will discuss about this concept later. But anyhow, I am not suggesting that other than this kind of flower, remaining conditions, thalamus never going to convert in the form of fruit. That's not the condition. Generally, if thalamus and ovary has been infused, they are inseparable when there is a conversion of ovary to become fruit. In this case, examples if you notify, guava, cucumber, ray florets of sunflower. You know what are ray florets of sunflower? Have already shown you them in earlier classes. In this, these are the three types of flowers based on position of floral organs with respect to ovary. If floral organs on the thalamus growing below the ovary, hypogynous flower, parallel to the ovary on the same height, perigynous flower, above the ovary, that is called epigynous flower. Altogether, these three types of flowers we will identify. Flowers based on the position of floral organs with respect to ovary. Okay? Hypogynous. Once again, recall their example. Hypogynous. China rose, mustard, brinjal. Perigynous. Plum, peach, rose. And epigynous. Cucumber, guava, and also ray florets of sunflower. These are the types of flowers we will get based on position of ovary with respect to floral organs, or floral organs with respect to position of ovary. Next one. Let me talk about floral appendages. Floral appendages. Floral appendages are nothing but individual floral organs First whole. Tell me what is first whole? I have mentioned it already. First whole is calyx. What do you mean by calyx? The ring name is calyx. In the ring, we have individual members, we call them as sepals. Okay? Tell me what are the properties of sepals? Usually green. They will protect when the flower is in bud condition. When the flower get pollinated, usually they fall down. But rarely, in case of Solanaceae members, Solanaceae, persistent sepals are present. Persistent sepals. In this case, for example, if a flower has some sepals, it may be a trimerous, tetramerous, pentamerous flower. In a trimerous flower, for example, 3 sepals are present. Sometimes all these three sepals may going to be fused. Sometimes they are going to be separate. In this case, flowers may be gamosepalous, gamosepalous, and flowers may be polysepalous, polysepalous. Gamosepalous sepals are fused. All the sepals are going to be fused. Polysepalous, all the sepals are free. If sepals free, polysepalous, sepals are united, the condition is called gamosepalous. Gamo, gummy. Gummy means union. Generally there is a word in gummy represent. Gummy in literal words, in literature, whenever they write gummy means marriage. Polygamy, several marriages, monogamy, single marriages. That's gummy means something represent union. Union, fusion, joining, etc., etc. you can apply. Next one. Second whole. Tell me what is second whole? Second whole name is, I told you, the whole number should not be changed. First whole, second whole, third whole, fourth whole. Whole number must be fixed. First whole, calyx. Second whole, corolla. Third whole, Androecium. Fourth whole, Gynoecium. That's it. Those numbers should not be mixed up. Okay? Second whole we call as corolla. Over there, members of corolla are called as petals. When you talk about petal, based upon the merosity, number of petals may going to be changed. But when it comes to petal, in their shapes of corolla, shapes of corolla varies from one member to another member. Some cases it is tubular shape. Some cases it is fan like. Sometimes not our ceiling fan. Fan like means wing shape. Are you getting the idea? There was a instrument before electric fans. There was an instrument our grandfather and grandmother in the hot summer they used an instrument for waving. Okay, that is called fan shape. And also wing shape, and also bell shape, butterfly shape. I will show you some of them. Butterfly shape. So shape of the corolla, that means all together. What do you mean by shape of the corolla? I'm not talking about one petal over there. I'm not saying petal shape. I am saying corolla shape. Corolla, all petals together. Sometimes they arrange like a tube. Sometimes they arrange like a butterfly shape. Sometimes they are arranged like a bell. Sometimes they are arranged like a funnel. Sometimes they are arranged like a wing. Like that variety of shapes are there. Are you catching? It's not about one petal I am talking about. I am talking about all the petals together. The name is corolla. Corolla shape is vary from flower to flower. Next one. When you talk about petals, the same manner, there is a condition called polypetalous. Polypetalous, petals free, they do not fuse. Next condition is called gamopetalous. Gamopetalous, petals are fused. Here petals are free, here fused petals. Anyhow, here if you are talking about petals, most common work of petal, they wear colors. It's not the meaning that every flower in the universe of angiosperms petals must be colorful. It's not the thing. Okay, there was an interesting question I have asked in earlier thing. There is a jasmine. They're asking, do the jasmine flowers are having color? The question is this: does a jasmine flower possess color? Actually, it does not possess any color. The colorless nature become white. Careful, white is nothing but lack of any color. There is a body, it has to express a color. The color means those colors which are present in Vibjar. If there is a kind of flower in the name of white, white generally does not represent any color. Colorless nature, we generally call it as white. Is it okay? In case you may be saying water. Water does not have color usually. That is lack of color. That's one mode of expression of their presence, material presence. But when it comes to petals, if they are exhibiting white color, typically mentioned as they don't have an expressing ability of color. I will notify this when we face genetics. Okay? Then come back to the story. Varieties of shapes are there with respect to corolla. Some of the shapes I have collected for us. Look at this. Various shapes of corolla. Again, this is not various shapes of one petal. This is various shapes of corolla. You see here, rotatory. Rotatory means wheel shape. And here, bell shape. If you observe pomegranate, you will identify such kind of flowers. That's called campanulate. Campanulum means bell. And then that is, there's a pot shaped structure, and also this is given in our NCERT book, that is funnel shaped infundibulum. Funnel shaped form is infundibulum in case of datura. Chibula in case of tobacco. And also various members, they have tubular shape. Ligulate, this is sunflower. Ray florets of sunflower, they have ligulate. Ligulate means tongue shape. And you see here, there are so many varieties are there. Papilionaceous. Papilionaceous means butterfly. So altogether, you need not to remember about such kind of thing. When you need to remember, I will notify. This is the particular shape. When we go to families, we have the families like Cruciferaceae. Cruciferaceae is nothing but Brassicaceae members. There, the name Cruciferaceae has been given based on cross-shaped petals. I will notify that what you need to remember. Okay, if there is an interlink, directly I will explain. This is the thing you need to remember based on this content. Anyhow, there are various shapes are there related to corolla. Next one. Go to the concept called Gynoecium. Or before Gynoecium, let us take the concept is there Androecium. Androecium. Now tell me what whole it is? Third whole. The members of Androecium you have to call it as stamen. Each one is stamen. A typical stamen has filament, so called stalk of stamen, and there is an attachment of anther. Anther is the place where pollen grains are produced. That's why it is called fertile part. Fertile. In this case, if you take a typical anther, I will take an anther and I am making it transversive section. In the transversive section of an anther, a typical anther possesses two lobes. Two lobes. That's why two lobes. A typical anther possesses two lobes. That's why anthers are generally bilobed. Anthers bilobed. Bilobed anthers. Next one. In each lobe, imagine this is the anther you have mentioned. This is two lobes. In each lobe, there is a presence of chambers. Each chamber we call it as pollen sac. Pollen sac. Technically, it is also called microsporangium. Microsporangium. And sometimes it is also called theca. Theca. Okay. Now, in this case, each lobe, two theca. That's why anther sometimes is also called dithecous. Here you need to remember one thing. Rarely some members of Malvaceae members in Malvaceae in our China rose family, Malvaceae monothecous. Monothecous. I'm not saying in Malvaceae member single lobe is present. No. Every anther has two lobes. But in Malvaceae members, in each lobe only one pollen sac or one theca is present. That's why a typical anther is bilobed tetrasporangiate or bilobed dithecous. In each lobe, two theca. Generally, exception to this, bilobed is common. In each lobe, number of sporangia may going to be vary. Typically, two sporangia or two theca. Rarely in Malvaceae members, only one sporangia or one theca. Is it okay? That's about it. Remaining procedure we will carry out later on. Inside the theca, there will be an area where there is a production of pollen grains. Pollen grains. How pollen grains will be produced and how they will be released, that's not our concept of discussion here. That part we will discuss in sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Okay? Then let us see. Hereafter, two words we will come across. One is cohesion, another one is adhesion. Adhesion. Cohesion. Union of members of same whole. Members of same whole. What do you mean by union of members of same whole? Think about this. I'm talking about petal. Earlier I told you gamopetalous, polypetalous. For example, there are 5 petals are present, all free to one and another. that makes them polypetalous. That situation is nothing but they are unfused variety. We can call them as they are not fused. If they might have fused, once again, five, five all are fused. If they would have fused, that condition we call it as cohesion. If they are free, polypetalous. If they would have fused, gamopetalous. Gamopetalous is a type of cohesion. Next one. Some cases what happen? Sepals, petals fuse together. They are not going to be distinct. If they are not distinct, that condition we call it as perianth. The members of perianth we call it as tepals. Tepals are the result of adhesion. Adhesion means two different varieties of floral organs are going to join. In this case, when it comes to adhesion, union of union of members of members of different wholes, different wholes, union of members of different wholes, this whole, that whole, petals, sepals, Androecium, Gynoecium, like that. If they are union or uniting, that phenomena is called as adhesion. Then come back. In this case, when you talk about stamens, adhesion of stamens I am talking about here. Adhesion of stamens. See, in this condition, sometimes stamens united to or fused to petals. This condition we call it as epipetalous. Epipetalous stamens. What do you mean by epipetalous stamens? The stamens that are present, but they are attached to, actually stamens should grow on the surface of thalamus. That's a typical rule. But rarely, the stamens may even attach to petals, epipetalous. If they united, stamens attach to perianth members. Perianth. This condition we call it as epiphyllous, or epitepalous. Epitepalous. Epipetalous, best example, Solanaceae members. Epiphyllous, best example, Liliaceae members. We will notify them later. Okay? Next, in addition to this, cohesion of stamens. Cohesion of stamens. Over here, remember, sometimes stamens fuse among themselves. This fusion we have to call it as cohesion. What happened? Rarely entire body of stamen is going to be fused. That is anther, filament, everything is going to fuse rarely. But common criteria is there is a fusion of filaments. Anthers are going to be free anthers, but filaments are going to be fused. In this, filaments are fused. Anthers free. In an Androecium, all the stamens are trying to fuse. If they fuse completely, one mode, synandrous condition we call it as. But when there is a fusion, they could fuse only with their filaments, but they are not fusing with their anthers. This condition is called adelphi. Adelphi. In this case, monoadelphous, that means all filaments all the filaments are united as one bundle. They united as one bundle. This condition is called monoadelphous. They are uniting, they are fusing, but only their filaments are fused and they form a large bundle of filaments. This condition is called monoadelphous. Best example, Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Diadelphous. Diadelphous. What do you mean by diadelphous? Here, filaments are fused to two bundles, as fused as two bundles. This is exactly identified in case of Fabaceae family, pea and bean. What happens in them? They have in total 10. The 10 are arranged like 9 filaments are one bundle, one filament, one is separate. Be very careful. If they say in diadelphous anthers, in diadelphous Androecium, anthers are fused like 9 are in one bundle, one is separate. That is extremely wrong. There is no fusion of anthers. But they say the statement like this. In monoadelphous stamens or in monoadelphous Androecium, stamens are fused into one bundle. Correct. In diadelphous stamens are fused into two bundles. That is also correct. Here particularly they are fused with only their filaments, not with their anthers. Got it? Next one. Monoadelphous, diadelphous. The third condition is called polyadelphous. Polyadelphous. What happens there? Filaments fused to several bundles. In this case, example, citrus. In the members of citrus, the stamens are going to be fused into several bundles, not their anthers, only their filaments. This is about Adelphi. Next one. Dynamous nature of stamens. What do you mean by dynamous? For example, look at the statement. Whenever we talk about stamens, out of all the members, stamens usually present in huge number. I'm not saying remaining will be always in less number, but when compared to the remaining floral organs, stamens present more in number. And at the same time, with same family or within between one flower to another flower, their length also may going to be variated. So, if length of filaments varies within same flower, be careful. Remember, within a same family, in between two different flowers, there will be a chance for varying of their filaments length. That's a different story. We will discuss. It is a kind of ability to modify a flower for cross pollination. That we will discuss later. Here I am talking about within one flower, not in between two flower. Within one flower, there are changes are happening in their filaments length. This feature is, we will consider it as dynamous nature. In this case, I can give you some example. One is didynamous. Didynamous flower. What is this didynamous? If a flower has four stamens, outer two are lengthy, inner two are short. Check it this. Outer two are lengthy, inner two are short. This condition is called didynamous. Best example, salvia. Not salvinia, it is salvia. Salvia angiosperm, Salvinia heterosporous pteridophyte. We will get it later. Next one, didynamous. Another feature is called tetradynamous nature. Tetradynamous. What happens in tetradynamous? Flower has six stamens. How many? Six. Out of them, inner four are lengthy, outer two are short. This condition is called tetradynamous nature. In this one, we will identify in case of Ocimum santum and also mustard. Very important. Mustard. Okay? Like this, dynamosity. What do you mean by dynamosity? Within the same flower, filament length only varies. Of course, stamen length will also going to be varies if the filament has different lengths. So anyhow, the same flower will have various lengths of stamen. This condition is called dynamosity. Based on the number in which lengthy stamens are present, we have this word didynamous. Two stamens are lengthy. Tetradynamous. Four stamens are lengthy. Is it okay? This feature is called Androecium. Now, before going to the most essential part, we will discuss about one property of flower that's called Aestivation. And then I wanted to show you the remaining figures what I have explained so far. Look at this. See, this is another image of various shapes of corolla. Over here, mostly these are gamosepalous corolla. If the corolla in which all the petals are fused, gamosepalous. Next one, gamosepalous. You check this one regarding to stamens. Look at this one. These are cohesion of stamens. In this, these are all of the filaments. All the filaments have been united and they converted in the form of a tube-like structure around the gynoecium or around the style of gynoecium. This property we will call it as monoadelphy. Okay, monoadelphous. Next one, this one, di. Two are there. Okay, this is separate. Total in 10 in case of Fabaceae members. Total 10. One separate. 9 are in one bundle. This is this one over there. Polyadelphy. Their stamens are united into several bundles. You can see here you cannot see any significant difference in their anthers, filaments. All are fused. This is called synandrous. Here only their anthers fuse, filaments free. This is called syngenesious. Anyhow, these terms are not provided in our NCERT book. These three are provided with respect to their union of stamens. Next one. Sorry. Now, I'm going to discuss about cohesion and adhesion property of sepals and petals. Now, this is another area where we observe most common type of problems are some kind of match the following in our morphology. That is aestivation. What is aestivation? Simple. When it comes to a flower, it has sepals and petals. The sepals and petals, before they exposed to environment, how they were arranged. The pattern of their arrangement before the flower has become bloomed, their pattern will be changes from one family to another. That based on that pattern, they have introduced a term or morphological concept that is called aestivation. What happens here? Take a floral bud, not a flower. Take a floral bud, and the bud you have to cut transversely. Take a bud, cut it transversely. Upon cutting, if you watch it from the top, what is the arrangement of petals or sepals with respect to one petal with another? Careful, we are not watching with respect to two different types of wholes. Here we are talking within the same whole, that means either in the calyx or corolla. Let us take corolla here for our convenience, which is given in our book. In corolla, there are 5 petals, for example. How these 5 petals are arranged? The arrangement they are calling it as aestivation. Over there, with respect to one petal to another petal, how they have been arranged. This phenomenon they are calling it as aestivation. If you are talking about their concepts, first one, observe there is a phenomena called valvate aestivation. Valvate. What is valvate aestivation? Look at this. In this criteria, listen. There are 5 petals. They arrange in a pattern of way. They are not fused. Even sometimes they fuse, they never going to be overlap. Be careful. Generally, they do not fuse. Even if they fuse, they never going to overlap. If sepals or petal are arranged in such a way that they are never going to be overlap, but they are not going to be always joined. If they join, that's okay. If they do not join, that is also okay for us in this condition, but they should not overlap with one another. This condition is called valvate aestivation. Best example of valvate aestivation, calotropis. Okay. Next one, twisted. Look at this twisted aestivation over here. Petals are arranged in such a way that one end of the petal always should be outside, another end of the petal always should be inside. One end outside, one end inside. In such a way that they are trying to arrange. This pattern of arrangement we call it as twisted aestivation. Best example of the twisted aestivation, China rose. Next one, imbricate. Important. When it comes to imbricate aestivation, here overlapping is there, but all the petals do not have same overlapping. They have uneven overlapping. Some petals completely inside, look at this. Some petal completely outside, Next one, some petals are in and out. One edge is inside, another edge is outside. Like that, they do not follow any one exact pattern to arrange their petal. This phenomenon is called imbricate aestivation. Best example of imbricate aestivation, cassia and gulmohar. Next one, papillonaceous. Remember, there is a word called papillonaceous corolla and also waxillum type of aestivation. Be careful, waxillary aestivation or the type of corolla is called as papillonaceous corolla. Papillonaceous corolla means butterfly shaped corolla. Waxillary means the aestivation name. Over there, imagine this is a characteristic feature of a family called Fabaceae or bean family. Over there, in this posterior side, one large petal is present. That large petal is called standard petal. It is always located at the posterior side. And there are two petals in the lateral sides of the flower. They are called as wings. Sometimes they are also called alae. And there are two more petals, total are 5, two more petals joined together, they are fused, and the fused ones will be present completely inside. These two fused petals are called keel. Like this, outermost standard or waxillum, innermost keel, lateral side wings are present. This arrangement we call it as papillonaceous corolla. The aestivation is called as waxillary mode of aestivation. Waxillary mode of aestivation. There are 4 types. Valvate, there is no overlapping, there is no any kind of one edge inside, one edge outside. Next one, best example of valvate aestivation, calotropis, twisted. One edge is always inside, another edge is always outside. This arrangement is called twisted. Best example, China rose, ladyfinger, and also cotton. All the 3 will have this twisted aestivation. Next, go to, when you talk about their imbricate aestivation, they have overlapping, but overlapping does not allow any one single pattern. Some petal completely inside both their ends, some petals completely outside, and then some are one edge is inside, one edge is outside. That phenomena is called as imbricate aestivation. Cassia gulmohar. Next one, maxillary. This is a special type of aestivation. Because of this aestivation, that is called papillonaceous appearance of petal. Petal appear like papillonaceous arrangement, that is butterfly shape, where one posterior petal will become large and it will cover up almost all the parts of flower. Next one, there are 2 petals lateral inside. The large one is called standard one, the lateral ones are called wings. Next one, the 2 more petals which are fused inside, they are called as keel. Like this arrangement is a characteristic feature of the family called Fabaceae. Look at this. So far, these are our images given in the NCERT book. This is epigynous flower, hypogynous flower. These 2 are perigynous flower, 2 are perigynous flower, and this one is epigynous flower arrangement. Then now they are talking about floral organs, calyx, corolla, Androecium, Gynoecium. All of them, they are represented with words. Look this statement. This is what I have discussed so far. In this is waxillary aestivation, twisted aestivation, imbricate aestivation, and this is valvate, this one waxillary aestivation. This is the special among them. It appear like a, you also see the shape differently. This shape represent the flower is zygomorphic flower. Zygomorphic means the flower is exhibiting bilateral symmetry. Be careful. Next one, Androecium, what I have discussed, polyadelphous in citrus. Next, we talk about Gynoecium. Over here, when I'm talking about Gynoecium, before beginning of that Gynoecium topic, let me take some introductions regarding to Gynoecium. Check it this. Gynoecium. The whole we will provide whole number 4. Gynoecium, female reproductive part of a flower. Over there, Gynoecium. Members of Gynoecium are called as called carpel. Carpel. In this, a carpel consists of stigma, style, and ovary. Over here, consider this is Gynoecium. It has stigma, style, ovary. In this, all parts will be sitting on thalamus. The stigma is a part where pollen grains will sit, which is also called receptacle of pollen grains. Next one, style. Style is connecting stigma with ovary. Ovary is the place where ovules are present, and then this is the area later will be converted in the form of fruit. Then come back to the story. If you talk about Gynoecium, generally they call carpel sometime, and sometime they are call it as pistil. What is the difference between a carpel and a pistil? Sometimes they mention it is carpel, sometimes they mention it is pistil. What do you mean by a carpel? What do you mean by pistil? See, I told you the word Androecium, male reproductive parts, but each male reproductive part is stamen. Similarly, Gynoecium represent female reproductive part. Each female reproductive unit is called as carpel. Unit of female reproductive part. Unit of female reproductive parts. We call it as carpel. Then what about pistil? When you talk about pistil, pistil is nothing but all the carpels together, or Gynoecium, sometimes they even call it as pistil. Imagine in a pistil, one or more carpels collectively called pistil. For example, imagine there is a flower that it has only one carpel. Do we call it as it has pistil? Of course, pistil is nothing but Gynoecium. In that case, more than one carpel or single carpel, anyone you can call it as pistil. Pistil is equivalent to Gynoecium. Okay? In this case, when we talk about pistil or in the Gynoecium, if single carpel is there, the condition is called monocarpellary. Only single carpel. Next one, multicarpellary. The name itself suggests there are many carpels. In multicarpellary condition, over there, imagine a situation. Sometimes they are syncarpous, fused carpels. Best example in case of mustard, mustard, brinjal, lemon, etc., etc. Many are having this syncarpus condition. Apocarpus. 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 Carpels are free in pistils or in gynoecium. Carpels are free, they are not united. In this situation, we call it as, if the carpels are free, that condition we call it as apocarpus. Best example, rose, Michelia, and lotus. Careful, Michelia is present in second year NCERT book in sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Rose and lotus both are given here as examples. That's about multicarpellary gynoecium. Next one, check it there. Condition of the phenomena, whatever the discussion I have mentioned that is related to gynoecium, they have given here. Next, come to the concept that is placentation. Placentation. What do you mean by placentation? Placenta. Listen, in the ovary, there is a kind of fertile tissue. The fertile tissue that is present in ovary is called as placenta. What do you mean by fertile tissue? Placenta, so-called fertile tissue, forms ovule. This is the one which is responsible for the formation of ovule. Listen, ovary produces ovule, but randomly on the surface of ovary, ovules are not going to be produced wherever they like. They will be produced only on one specific area. That specific area is called placenta. See, in different members, location of placenta is going to be varies. Placenta is not present in all the ovaries in same place. Based on the location of the placenta and also the arrangement of the ovules on the placenta, they divided the ovaries into various types. This phenomena is called placentation. Over there, consider there is a placentation called marginal placentation. This marginal placentation is a characteristic feature of the family Fabaceae, where here there is a long fruit. Do you remember this fruit is also having a name called pod? Pod. In genetics, we see this fruit. The fruit name is called pod. In this, there are two parts will be open. If you open that pea fruit, it would be divided into two parts. This lower part is called ventral side. Upper part is called dorsal side. On the ventral side, there is an attachment of two parts. I said you can open the fruit into two parts. They will be open generally at upper side and lower side. Upper side is they are calling it as dorsal side. Lower side they are calling it as ventral side. Ventral side only there is a presence of placenta. The connecting part is called suture. The ventral suture is the place where there is a presence of placenta. On the placenta, which is present at ventral suture or ventral side, two rows. It's not one row where the seeds are developing. They developed in two rows. This phenomenon is called marginal placentation. In this, fruit is unilocular. Unilocular means inside only one chamber is present. On the one chambered ovary, ventral side placenta present. On the ventral side, wherever there is a suture, on that suture, alongside there will be a development of seeds or ovules. These ovules always developed in two rows. This phenomenon is called marginal placentation. Next, when it goes to axial placentation, you check it there. In axial placentation, placenta present at the center of the ovary, placenta present, and the ovary will be divided into multi-chamber. Each chamber we call it as locule. Each chamber we call it as locule. That's why these ovaries are multilocular ovaries. This is a locule. To prepare locule, we have a body called septum. In this, this is the area where there is a presence of placenta. Like this, placenta present at the center, and ovules will be entering into that locule in that multi-chambered ovary. This arrangement is called axial placentation. Best examples of axial placentation are China rose and also lemon. Hibiscus and lemon, they have this kind of axial placentation, especially lemon. We can easily see this kind of axial placentation. Next one, parietal placentation. You check there. In the parietal placentation, what would be the condition? In the parietal placentation, placenta present at the peripheral area, not in the center. Placenta present at peripheral portion, not in the center. From the periphery, ovules develop inside. Ovules are going to develop inside. Okay? Initially it is single chamber, no septum. Later there is a development of false septum. That false septum is called replum. Replum. Initially it is unilocular. Later it is going to become bilocular. This phenomenon is called parietal placentation. The best examples of parietal placentation, mustard family and also argumone. Mustard and argumone are having parietal placentation. Be careful. Parietal placentation initially unilocular, later it become multilocular, and also there is a presence of placenta at the peripheral side. From the peripheral to center, ovule started to develop. Next one, free central placentation. It is equal to axial placentation, but in the axial placentation, there is a development of septum. Here there are no septums at all. That's why it is called free central placentation. Placenta presented central portion without any kind of, without any kind of septum. Over there, in free central placentation, we can check that dianthus and primrose are having free central placentation. The free central placentation represented, identified in dianthus and primrose. Remember, so far, marginal placentation unilocular, parietal placentation initially unilocular, later bilocular, free central placentation unilocular. Then come to basal placentation. In this, one ovary, one ovule. At the ovary base, placenta is present. This condition is common in case of the members of Astraceae and also the members of Poaceae. Over there, you can see sunflower and marigold. Sunflower and marigold both are belongs to the family Astraceae. Marigold tagetes. Our marigold flowers and sunflower both are having this kind of placentation. Is it okay? Next one, fruit. Let us consider, you know already, what do you mean by fruit? Fruit is nothing but fertilized ovary. Generally, in the flower, fruit coming from ovary. If fruit developed from ovary, such kind of fruit is called true fruit. Other than ovary, sometimes other part of flower may develop into fruit. Such kind of fruits are called false fruit or pseudo fruit. Next, another concept. Whenever you develop a fruit directly from the ovary after the fertilization. This phenomenon is called true fruit. Is it okay? Later, whenever there is a development of fruit from the part other than ovary, that kind of body we call it as false fruit. One more phenomena, rarely due to some hormonal changes and also the environmental influences, ovary become fruit without fertilization. If the ovary becoming fruit without fertilization, that concept we call it as parthenocarpic fruit. Be careful. True fruit, pseudo fruit, parthenocarpic fruit are different. What is true fruit? Ovary develop into fruit. Whether there is a fertilization, there is no fertilization. Ovary become fruit, that fruit is called true fruit. Then what is false fruit? If other than ovary any part of the flower fruit has been developed, that condition is called false fruit. Then what is parthenocarpic fruit? Parthenocarpy is a mechanism where ovary become fruit, ovary only becoming fruit. Then tell me, is it a true fruit or false fruit? Ovary only becoming fruit, so parthenocarpic fruits are also going to be true fruit. It doesn't matter whether there is a fertilization or without fertilization. If ovary has become fruit, that condition we call it as true fruit. Is it clear? So parthenocarpic fruits are the fruit that are developed from the ovary without fertilization. That phenomena is called parthenocarpy. Then they are talking about some variety of fruits over there. First variety of fruit they wanted to discuss, that is drupe. Remember, if you take a fruit, Latin name of the fruit is carp. Over there, majorly three parts are present in the carp. One is epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp. Along with that, there is a presence of seed. Is it okay? Over there, epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp, their characters vary from one type of fruit to another type. In that case, consider they are talking about a fruit that is called drupe. Very important. Now here they mention drupes are developed from monocarpellary superior ovaries and which are one-seeded. Drupes are always developed from monocarpellary superior ovaries. Monocarpellary superior ovaries which are having only one seed in their fruit. That's important. Drupes are always developed from monocarpellary superior ovaries. Next one. And they have two examples for the drupe. One drupe is coconut, another drupe is mango. Coconut, mango, both are same names called drupe, but they don't have same parts which are edible by humans. Over there, epicarp you consider. Epicarp, the outermost covering of the fruit. In case of coconut, it is generally green in a tender coconut. Later it will become brown. Next, mesocarp. In coconut, mesocarp is going to be fibrous. The coir, which is nothing but coconut fibers, developed from that area called mesocarp. Next one, mesocarp of the mango, it is nothing but the pulpy portion. Then endocarp in both the areas, mango as well as in coconut, both the parts, the endocarp is nothing but a stony portion. That's what. Whenever we break a coconut and we will ask God to give more marks in the exam, that part is nothing but our endocarp, getting the statement. But when it comes to edible portion, in coconut, seed is the edible part. Seed is the edible part. Be careful. After endocarp, whatever the portion of coconut we observe, that is seed. But in case of mango, mesocarp is edible. Is it okay? Next one. When we start talking fruits, there are varieties of fruits and varieties of ways are there, their description. But that much internal detail we don't need. That's why you just have the information only that is given in our NCERT book. That is fine for the exam. Is it okay? That is today's class. Anything you wanted to say? Okay. Very good. One statement I would like to mention. Biology, take care from the beginning. Take care from the beginning. You may be observed in the last NEET exam, it's not that the physics was too tough. The biology was not very lenient. Biology also given little bit conceptual. So from the beginning, if you study, that would be very helpful for you to take care of all those internal content. At the end of the day, I will go peripherally, but I cannot able to gather the much information over there. Clear? That's about today's class. We will meet in the next class. Bye. Thank you.